So I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and I feel like I want to try something new with my YouTube channel. I've been doing a lot of tips and tricks, tutorial style videos over the years, and whilst I really enjoy creating that kind of content, I do feel like that format has already been done a lot, and there's already so many of those sort of videos out there in existence that I just want to try something new and something different. I've recently set up a new production space, which has been amazing, and I've been back in the room working with artists face to face again for the first time in a while. I've been doing a lot of online remote work over the last few years, so to be back in the room with artists again has just been amazing. And I feel like I want to share some of that with you, share behind the scenes content, some footage from the sessions, some photos from the sessions, as well as some tips and tricks that I've learned, some new plugins, new gear, all sorts of stuff. Just want to basically share with you what I've been doing, and hopefully that's going to be super valuable to you, and hopefully maybe you'll learn something from it, or just, some interesting stuff from behind the scenes that you might be into. So if you like this format and you're into these kind of videos, then please do give this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think. Any feedback is super useful. So in the first video of this series, I'm going to be sharing with you some behind the scenes footage of a songwriting and production session I did for a kind of indie pop, quite guitar based thing, as well as showing you my guitar setup, some recent pedals that I've invested in, as well as a pretty cool trick for Logic Drummer to get more out of Logic Drummer, get a better sound out of it, particularly for that sort of indie pop style. So stick around for that as well. In the meantime, let's get into it. This is what I've been up to. So I've actually been back in the studio recently with Kate Lomas to work on some new music. Kate and I have worked together since the beginning, and she's taken a bit of a break in the last few years to work on some other projects, but recently we got back together in the studio just to throw some ideas around and see what was going on. The stuff we've been working on recently has been way more guitar centric, which is quite a step away from a more previous synth pop stuff. So it's been really cool for me to get back playing more guitar, just writing from the ground up, no production tricks, just a guitar and a vocal. A lot of the songwriting that we've done over the previous years was quite Logic based. It was based around synth ideas and production stuff, whereas this has been more, I don't want to say authentic, but more kind of organic songwriting, making sure that the melody, the chords, all of that sort of stuff is right from the beginning. And it's just been really liberating to work that way. It's been very inspiring, and I feel like some really great ideas coming out, which I'm super excited about. Just need to come out. How do I come out? How do I get out?
I don't know how to get in, I don't know how to get out. That's what she said.
It works as a mood, but it doesn't work.
What needs to change?
This like chord verse guitar part thing. Yeah, it won't change key, but it just needs to change what it's actually doing. Should I go to the pre-chorus there after that? Yeah.
Let's just try that.
I've also been playing around with this concept of like, what if you walked into a charity shop and you found a record at the back of a store that was completely unloved and nobody had ever found before, and you found it and you fell in love with it and you sort of discovered this new artist that maybe has been around for a long time but you've just never discovered before. And what does that record sound like? It's a bit of a loose concept, but for me it's been really useful because it's created this framework to work within. I feel like these kind of concepts, which are quite visual for me, are really useful, and it's been really inspiring to work with that and kind of use that as the basis for what the sound should be. So it's kind of nostalgic, it's a bit, I say dusty, but like, it feels old and warm and nostalgic. I feel like it's been really cool to work within that framework. It's like we're starting with this point at the top, and then we're like reverse engineering that and trying to figure out what that sound is. And it's a great way of working. So if you're ever stuck for ideas or inspiration and you feel like you're maybe chasing sounds too much, a good way to get around that is to actually define what your concept is at the top level and then just work down from that. And that kind of helps inform everything on the project, I think, not just the music, but also the imagery, the visuals, the feeling, the messaging, all of that stuff is wrapped up in that message. And yeah, it's just a great way to work, I think. So I recommend trying something like that for your projects. If you're, like say, if you're stuck and you're looking for inspiration, try and define that thing and then work backwards from there. I recently also picked up a Memory Man delay pedal off reverb.com for a really good price. And I've been loving playing around with the Memory Man. It's a classic delay pedal, sounds really cool. And I've also picked up this reverb pedal from Walrus Audio called Slöer, which is an insane reverb. I think it's mostly designed for ambient stuff, but I've been getting some really cool dream pop style guitar tones out of it, which I'll show you now. The opportunities and possibilities with this pedal feel endless. I've only really tapped into the basics of it, but I feel like I could get some really cool stuff from this pedal. So check out this for a really cool sort of indie pop, dream pop guitar tone. This is the Memory Man delay pedal, like I say, going into the Walrus Audio Slöer pedal. Before this in the chain is also this small speaker overdrive pedal as well, which is really cool. And then all of this is running into my Fender Pro Junior with a SM57 on the speaker. Very simple setup, nothing fancy, and also played on my Squire Classic Vibe Telly as well. And this is what it sounds like. One thing I've been diving into lately is Logic Drummer and trying to get more out of it. I've always found that I think it sounds a bit cheesy. There's like a sound that it has to it. The loops and the sounds of the kits often to me sound quite distinctly drummer and quite cheesy. Like if somebody sends me a demo or a track they've been working on, they've used drummer, I feel like I can pretty much straight away be like, that's Logic Drummer, because of the sound of the default kits. So I've been diving into it a bit more and seeing if I can get more out of it and explore more interesting options, more unique options with the sound. You know, the minute, like very much in the ideas phase of the production, and having a tool like Drummer is really useful to be able to quickly generate ideas and get drum sounds. But I've always found it sounds a bit crap. So yeah, I've been working with that, trying to explore the producer kits a bit more. I figure probably later down the line I will track these drums with a proper drummer, but for the time being, I just want to see how much I can actually get out of Logic Drummer. So check this out. So one of the things that's most striking to me with the Logic Drummer is like the kits that come up when you just create a Logic Drummer track and load a kit. Often the default one is like the SoCal kit, and it just, to me, it just sounds bad. Like, it sounds kind of cheesy. Take a listen to this. Like, it sounds okay, but everything just sounds overly amplified. That SoCal kit, the kick drum is so heavy. There's this weird like reverb going on that sounds a bit cheesy. None of it really, to me, sounds like a drum kit actually would. It doesn't have the cohesion of a normal drum kit. And also I've got no control over it. In that SoCal kit, for example, like if I want to go in and tweak the low end, that kick drum is so heavy. If I want to go in and tweak that low end, I can only really do it in the EQ. I don't have any control over the level of the kick drum, the level of the cymbals, which is quite loud. I can go into the drum kit and I can, you know, turn it down with the gain control, but it doesn't give me a great deal of control. And I just find I want more from it. So what you can actually do is, if you go down here to these multi-channel kits, you can bring up all of these different drum kits which give you way more control. So for example, let's take the NY Garage kit, which I quite like as a starting point. It sounds like this. And then if we open up this tab down here, it brings up the whole mixer for the overheads, the kick in and out, snare top, snare bottom, hi-hat, all the tom mics and everything. So we can solo and work on the individual elements of the drum kit as if it was a proper kit. And all of a sudden I've got way more control over the sound of that drum kit, and it's now behaving almost like a real drum kit would. And then to go even further on that, what I can do is go in here and start changing out different drums. So we can take this snare. The snare sounds pretty cool. but I can change that for something else. I can change the tuning. I can change the dampening. And that gives me way more control over the kit and allows me to really get that sound that I want, which is this kind of warmer, I guess more lo-fi indie pop style kit. So up here I've created this drum kit. Let me show you this. And this really kind of captures the sound I'm going for. If you think maybe Phoebe Bridgers and that motion sickness drum kit sound on her first record, I love the sound of those drums. And this is the kind of thing that inspired this feeling. So hopefully I've gone closer to that with this kit. Take a listen to this. What I've also done with this is removed all the preset junk that they give you when you load up these extra kits, because a lot of the time they give you like reverb sends, delay sends, things that I really don't want to be dealing with. I just want the individual elements of the kit as if it was a real drum kit, and then I could export these out as audio and also manipulate them that way as well. For now, I've just taken off all the preset stuff, added in a bit of my own stuff, and just rebalanced the kit so that it sounds more the way that I want it to sound. And then also adding some chroma glow, a bit of tape drive, this magnetic model, along with this fat effects on the kick out, the bass enhancer there just to boost a bit at the low end. And this is creating quite a gritty, dry sounding kit that started off as, I think, the that NY kit, but just changing out the kick drum and the toms as well as the snare. I really love that sound, that muted chrome snare with the dampener tuned down a bit as well. I'm also not a massive fan of cymbals. Like, I think cymbals sound too washy a lot of the time, so try and turn them down as much as possible. So I brought the gain right down on those cymbals, so we're not getting loads of cymbals. It's just kind of a background feeling. And you can see, just like if it was a real drum kit, these room mics make such a difference. Just having a little bit of room in there can really change the feel, or taking it out completely can give you something super dry. And this just gives me so much flexibility that can work on a whole range of different tracks. If I quickly just completely change the mix of this, you'll see how flexible it can be. There's so much flexibility in that, and I feel like this is a great starting point for me to work on that guitar-based indie pop sort of sound. So what I'll do is I'll leave a link to this drum kit in the description below, and you can download this at the end of this video and use this completely free, all for yourself. I've also been bringing my camera into the process much more intentionally recently. Photography is a huge passion of mine, and I've been looking for a way to better share my work, and this format feels like a really good place to do that. I've actually been working on my own quite a bit over the last few weeks. Like I said, been working with Kate, doing some writing, and she's been all over the world doing various different things. She's quite difficult to pin down, so she's not always in the country, and we have to really pick our sessions. So I've been doing a lot of the production on my own, the guitar tracking and so on. What I found with this new production space is having so much natural light has made an enormous difference to my creativity and my productivity. I'm so used to being in dark, windowless studios, but this place has been so inspiring for me so far, and I'm certain that a lot of that is just to do with the sheer amount of space and light available, the ability to get up and walk around without bumping into everything, and just to look out the window and see the sun. We've also had some rare sun in the UK recently as well, which really helps. So I definitely feel like just having some natural light in the studio has made such an enormous difference to my productivity with my music. I also think it's like recently I've just been rediscovering having fun with music again. Like I said, I've been doing so much online stuff in the last few years, and just bringing music and photography together in a way that's quite fun, and having just being able to enjoy it in a light space has been just so life-changing for me. And it's made me feel like a better person outside of work as well. I'm coming home from the studio feeling much more fulfilled and much more like I've sort of accessed some creativity, tapped into that part of me that I've maybe not been able to access so freely in recent years. So if I have one takeaway from this video for you, it's just have a concept that you're working with, even if it's a really loose concept, and see some daylight and have fun, and try and find a way to just really access that joyfulness of creativity that maybe you had as a child when you first started working on it. I think it's a bit of a cliche, like a lot of people say that, but for me it's been super true recently, just getting back in touch with the reason why I started being creative in the first place has made such a difference. And yeah, some natural light as well. Try and see some of that. Even if you don't have a window in your studio, just get outside for a bit and see the sun. It makes a massive difference. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you found something useful from it, or you just enjoyed it for the sake of enjoying it. As I said at the top, I'm planning on doing a more regular kind of journal series like this, where I share stuff in a more casual way. I've got a bunch of sessions coming up with a whole range of artists I'm super excited about, and I'm really looking forward to doing more of this and sharing some more, talking a bit more about what's been going on in my process, and also just learning some new stuff along the way, which I'm also really excited to share with you. So like I say, if you're enjoying this format, then please do leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe as usual. I've also left a link in the description below for you to download this drummer preset that I was sharing with you earlier, and you can use that completely free as much as you wish, play around with it, and hopefully it'll be useful for you on your tracks. So as always, thanks for stopping by, and if you want to see more of this kind of thing, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.